Hi, Jason Wells here with Anti-Suit Entrepreneur. And I'm not going to say a whole lot here. I want to break into an interview that I recorded with a good friend of mine, Jason Parker. And as you listen to the interview, you'll understand at the time of this recording, we're nearing the end of the 2014 Winter Olympic Games, and so it's completely appropriate. You'll understand why I'm interviewing Jason, and it fits right into what's going on right now with the Olympics, but listen to what he has to say and think about how it applies to day-to-day life as well as entrepreneurship and living life in your terms. So with that, I'm going to let the interview play.
Well, I'm an Olympic medalist in long track speed skating. I won a silver medal in 2006 in the men's team pursuit. I started skating when I was 11 years old and had an amazing career. I had a lot of challenges, a lot of ups and downs, just like anything in life. The way I look at challenges, I see challenges as the universe's way of testing you to see how much you really want it. And so I missed the Olympics 3 times. I missed twice due to getting sick, health issues right prior to the trials. And the third time, mentally, I was having some challenges. I'd gone through a really bad relationship, and I missed the team by 7/100ths of a second. And then I was the alternate for 4 different events over those 3 Olympics, but they don't send the alternates in my sport. And the big thing for me is I just, I was a kid that grew up in the prairies, and it was instilled in me the importance of having good work ethic. I was never one of the most talented athletes. I just was one that was willing to do the work, and I basically outworked most of my competitors. And that's kind of a big part of me. One thing that there was so many things that I learned that I took away from my sport that were just absolutely so life changing for me, and I feel have real impact for a lot of people. And so that's what I try to do now is share a lot of that sort of thing, and to help people to be able to see past their own challenges and go for what it is that they really want.
So when you say you learn things from that experience, like if you were to apply it to the subject of our website, which is entrepreneurship, what did you take from your experiences? You say your challenges that you overcame, missing certain Olympic teams, making it at a later time. What, like, far as being an entrepreneur, how did that help you now in that part of your life?
I think one big way that one real big thing that I learned is that sometimes we can create, and this is really important to do, is you want to create a real clear picture of what you want to achieve, be it in business or in sport. But the thing that you need to be aware of is that the journey to get to that place isn't going to be the way you envision it. You might get to that outcome, but it's not going to happen the way you think it's going to. And I see that as a big thing for business and in sport. Like, with my sport, is that I never envisioned winning my medal in a team event, because for most of my career there was no team events in speed skating. It was an individual event. So I always imagined myself, winning a medal in an individual event, and it happened in a team event. There were so many things along the way. I realistically, I thought that I was going to go to my first Olympics, and if not that, the second Olympics in 1998, and I thought I was going to win a medal at the Olympics, and thought I was likely going to retire after that. So my whole life would have been different. I never would have met my wife, and I wouldn't have the amazing little girl that I have now had it gone that way. So that's the thing is that I think it's so important not to get hung up on the way to get there, you want to focus on what it is you want to create, but don't worry about how you get there. It's going to happen the way it's meant to happen, but focus on that end outcome of what you want to achieve and what it's going to feel like when you actually accomplish it. I know this is, this might be getting a little bit into more so the feelings of stuff, but I'm a big believer in you have to feel what it's going to be like to achieve what it is you want, whether it's in business, whether it's in sport. So if it's in business, you want to feel what it's going to be like to achieve those entrepreneurial goals that you have. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to travel? Who are you going to help? What is it going to feel like to help those people? What is it going to feel like to be able to accomplish those things and make that difference, that impact that you want to do? I'm just such a firm believer in feel of it. If you don't know if you can't imagine that feeling, you're not going to create it. Because there's 3 steps that I talk about when I speak at large events and I look back over my Olympic experience and there's really 3 steps that I found that were really impactful for me. And the first thing is first you got to decide what it is that you want. Most people, they don't really ever know what they want. You have to make a conscious decision on what it is exactly that you want to achieve. And then once you decide that, you need to actually believe that you can achieve it. Because you're never going to achieve something that you don't believe in. And so then the third thing is that you have to become that person. You got to become it. So you got to become the person that is capable of achieving what it is that you set out. And if you do those 3 things, so if you decide it, you believe it, you become it, then you will achieve it. That's what I truly believe in any aspect of life. Be it business, especially in business, you can use all these same tools to be able to get to where you want to go.
Question. So let's say I decide what I want. I believe I can do it, and then I have to become it. Obviously, the day-to-day consistency is my guess. When you believed I can do this, then you set out to do the day-to-day work, because you said I outworked everyone else. I was the most talented person on our team. That's, I think, what separates the people that make it, that achieve what they want, and the people that talk about it and never make it. Can you share your experience? Because clearly you had to have a serious commitment to make an Olympic team and to medal when you say, quote, I wasn't the most talented guy out there.
Yeah. Well, I have a saying that I came up with that I love, and it is success comes to those who are consistently persistent and persistently consistent. So because when you look at what's anybody who's successful in any arena, if you look at the things that they do, they have to do certain things every single day. So they have to be consistent. And the thing is that they're willing to overcome. They're willing to, like I said earlier, challenges are the universe's way of seeing how badly you really want it. And so people who want it bad enough will overcome any of the challenges, and so they'll persist until they achieve what it is that they want. One of the ways that I look at the definition of Olympian is that I see Olympians as people who choose to persist until they achieve amazing results in some area of life that's important to them. So they choose to persist until they achieve.
So you're suggesting that I could be an Olympian, even though I didn't make an Olympic team?
So the way I look at an Olympian is I look at Olympians as anybody that achieves great results in an area of life that's important to them. So I don't look at Olympians as just people who participate in the Olympics. I look at people who choose to excel in whatever area they choose as an Olympian. Because there are different definitions of Olympian, and one of those definitions is, what is it? It's somebody that just has achieved extraordinary results. And so, yeah, absolutely. I believe that you can be Olympian in if you want to be an Olympian in business, in my mind, you already are an Olympian in business because you've gone so far above and beyond what, 99% of the people in your industry ever do. So by my definition, you are an Olympian.
Well, I'm so glad that, I didn't even know you were this is not a planned interview. We're just talking here, which is the way I like it for these blog and videos. And I'm so glad you said that because I wouldn't have thought of it that way. But I think people really needed to hear that. It's probably why you said it. But that's great because you're basically letting people know that you don't have to make an Olympic team and go to the Olympics to achieve what you've achieved in a sense.
Yeah. And that's one thing that after that I'm really thinking about now, especially since, I'm not sure when this is, when whoever is going to listen to this or hear this is going to hear it. But right now, as we're talking, we're 2 days from the end of the Olympic Games. And so one thing that I really want people to start thinking about is that, when you watch the Olympics, you see all these amazing stories. You've seen all these athletes that have achieved the pinnacle of their careers, achieved their absolute utmost dream. You've seen a lot who are absolutely devastated and may have to train another 4 years to try and have that shot again, or it may be the end. They may be going out on that note. But what I want people to really start thinking about is what's going to be your Olympics. What is going to be your pinnacle? What is it that you really want to accomplish and achieve? Because that's something that you want to take that inspiration from all these amazing athletes that have dedicated so many years of their lives to represent their country, to try and make their country proud and unify their country. So we need to use that as inspiration to be able to make a difference in our own lives, in the lives of those around us.
That's great. So many people out there, and I just want your input on this from your sport experience. You say business and sport, you use those two terms. In business, a lot of people want it now. How does that play out with sport? In your sport, the people that wanted it now, how did they fare? How did things turn out for them? I think I'm asking an obvious question, but I'm trying to beat a dead horse here. I'm trying to, but I want you to share, how you feel about that, what you saw with your own eyes over the years, because you've got 20 years of training and competing, so you've seen a lot of things. I just want you to kind of share what comes to mind when I say that.
Yeah. Is that all right if I use a story?
Go for it.
Well, I heard this story of this kid. This kid was 11 years old, and this kid, his sister, started doing this sport. And this sport, she kept on coming home every weekend winning these medals. And so this 11-year-old kid was an 11-year-old hockey player. And he was jealous of his sister. He wanted to be able to win medals too. And so he decided that he wanted to try that same sport that his sister was doing because he thought, well, he could do, he could probably do really good at it. So he went to a competition, his first competition, and it was in speed skating. And so his first race, he was a hockey player, a hockey player mentality. He thought he was going to go out there and win because he was one of the fastest hockey players, one of the fastest on his hockey team. So he went out there with the mentality that he was going to win. He wanted to win. And so the race started, and he got off to a really good start. He was actually winning. He started off winning. And then he got into the first turn, and he fell. And so he fell and he hit the boards, and this was short track, and he was a little bit stunned, but he got up and he thought, well, man, I still want to win this race. So he started going again. And so he got to the next corner, and he just never realized how hard it was to go around those corners with those long blades. And so he crashed again. So long story short, the race was 2 laps. there's 4 corners in a 2-lap race, so he fell 4 times and he came dead last. And his sister was watching that race, and she actually could feel his pain. She was actually so embarrassed, she just wanted the race to be over so that he didn't have to suffer through that anymore. And so that was the story of my first race. So that was my first experience with speed skating. I went in with the mentality that I wanted to go and win that first race without having put in my time, without actually having trained, without having any real experience, without paying my dues. And so the way I look at it, so using, bring it back to your question, people that want things now, quite often, if you're the mentality that you want it right now, you're going to be constantly disappointed. Because you're going to keep falling down. And it's the people that persist, the people who keep getting up after they fall down, like I did, and keep getting up after they fall down again and again and again. Doesn't matter how many times you fall down, all that matters is how many times you get up. And as long as you get up just as many times as you fall down, you'll eventually be successful. So the people that I saw that wanted that instant gratification, they never made it to the level that I made it to. It's only the people that were willing to consistently persist, to overcome those challenges, to keep getting up when they fell down, were the ones that finally made it to the end. The ones that you're seeing winning gold medals at the Olympics, don't think that very many of them won their first races when they first got started. I bet you most of them have similar stories to mine.
Interesting. Well, that's actually a perfect story for my question, because I think a lot of people, they have the want it now attitude. I think they don't, like, if you were to ask them, are you that type of person? Most people would say no. But if you look back and reflect on your behavior, it probably for a lot of people is actually a yes. And you're reflecting back on your own behavior. Here's a guy who's the definition of consistently persisting, but you had that attitude at one point in your life.
Yeah, and that's not the only time I've had it. I mean, there are some things that, other sports that I just expect to be good at, and realize that, it's the way to get good at anything is by practicing, by putting in the time and putting in the training. If you're not willing to put in the time and put in the training, you're not going to be successful in anything, whether it's sport or if it's business.
Well, I appreciate your time, Jason. Do you have a website or something I can plug?
Yeah, I mean, you can use my, I have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Jason Parker Speaks.
Okay. I'll make sure we'll put a link in there for people so they can check that out. They can read more about you and your background.
Yeah. And then also the same for website is jasonparkerspeaks.com.
Okay. Great. Thanks for your time.